Yep.
So in this case, maybe we start with this recent video. Chuck Pagano was on today talking on the Pat McAfee Show about this situation, and maybe it's a good conversation that we need to talk about now that we are approaching the last week of the season on who the MVP should be.
MVP voting, and Tone actually has a vote. And I would like to go on the record as when the idea was pitched to us by great man.
Came on the show, Eagles guy.
Rob Motti.
Rob Motti. Very thankful for the idea of us having a vote. He pitched both me and Tone. And I said, I'm not the right guy for the job, Rob. Okay, I'm not the one that needs to decide this. Because this is legacy, right? This is Hall of Fame stuff. This is next contract stuff. This is how they remember you as a football player, these types of awards. Now, do I think people put way too much stock in all of them? Absolutely, but I'm not the one that needs to be doing it. So Tone is representing the program on this particular vote. Yeah. What are your thoughts, especially with what Lamar did just yesterday?
It looked like, Josh Allen was a runaway a couple weeks. What he did in that 4 or 5 week span was just absurd. But then you see Lamar go out and think he all-time rushing leader for a quarterback in the history of the game.
6,110 yards, surpasses Michael Vick. That is correct.
I mean, and then you're looking at Saquon, who's got a chance to break, is it Dickerson's record?
Yes.
Rushing record? So if he does that, Josh keeps rolling. Lamar, he just set a new record, right, for rushing yards for a quarterback. I mean.
Good luck. These are all public, too, the votes, right?
And the narrative is going to be like, okay, they both got to do it in the playoffs. I wish they'd wait for this. When does this vote come out, AP?
January 6th is when we have to have the vote in.
That's a weird date to have, but they
AJ Hawk's birthday?
Yeah.
First Raw on Netflix, clear picture.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I mean, that was in like 8K.
It looked fantastic.
Is that a Monday, then?
Yeah.
Sorry, January 8th, then. The Wednesday after the final week.
Okay, January 8th.
And this is predominantly a quarterback given, right, award goes to a quarterback, right?
Yep.
So if these two stayed neck and neck, that's a tough one.
This is the perfect time to talk about the MVP.
Yep.
And honestly, we know that we've talked about it well before because people start the conversations in week 4 or 5. So, yeah, we'll have the conversation. But if we're being realistic, you can't have the conversation until you're going into the final week. We're here almost. The Ravens have 1 game left. And I think the bigger point that we're trying to say is when you watch Lamar play, and you take out the numbers, which are leading in almost every category that he can. When you watch number 8 on the field, can you say that there is a guy that can impact the game more? DeMeco Ryans, the head coach of the Texans, is even saying before the game, he's the MVP in my book. And Brad, I think that everyone becomes prisoners of the moment. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be prisoners of that moment. But we also, if you watch Lamar all season long, this is nothing new. It just happens to be happening at the right moment, the right time, and on a national, global audience.
Yeah.
And Lamar Jackson, once again, when the lights are shining brightest in the regular season, he delivered a astounding performance to all viewers out there.
Yeah, we talked about it on the show before the Steelers game that if Lamar could show up and show out during the Steelers game and this game on Christmas Day where the entire globe is watching, that it would be a lock. And I was in my, obviously you guys can tell that I'm a Ravens fan, but like, how do you argue against what Lamar Jackson is doing? And I would take this a step further and say that he is in the running for the greatest football player of all time. We've had some discussions about comparing Shohei Ohtani to some other players in the NFL. I think this actually would be a fair comparison because no other quarterback has had this type of running ability and the accuracy that comes along with it as far as passing is concerned. Nobody's going to be able to touch, at least anytime soon, a 4,000-yard passing season and a 1,000-yard rushing season. Now, we only have 1 more game to go. If Lamar Jackson runs for 150 yards, that would be absolutely insane. But my point is that no other quarterback is doing anything like this that we've ever seen in the history of the game. And we're talking the last 100 years. That's why I think that Lamar Jackson could be in that conversation of greatest football player of all time if he decided to hang up his cleats after this year.
Wow. I think
wow, after this
Tell
year.
me why he wouldn't be, though.
Yeah, I think if you go talent-wise, when you go the combination, obviously the greatest of all time, we bring into account the winning, the Super Bowls, all that.
Sure.
So that's why it's hard to say. I don't know if he would go after this year, but man, if Lamar grabs 2, 3 Super Bowls down the line, it's going to be hard to keep him out of the top 2. He has that sort of talent of, like you said, we've never seen before. And going into the MVP conversation over the past 2 weeks, or I guess week, because they played so close together, like you said, we felt like if Lamar Jackson was going to have a chance for MVP, it was, hey, here are 2 games, Steelers and Texans, where you are the only game on.
Yeah.
It is all eyes are on you. If you can go out there and put on a show, Josh Allen was minus 1,000 for MVP odds. After these 2 games, Lamar Jackson on national television doing what Lamar Jackson does, he's suddenly only minus 190. So I still think right now, at this moment, I think the ball is still in Josh Allen's court. He's got 2 games left compared to Lamar's 1.
That he has to play.
Yeah. But as we talked about a little bit before, Brad, Josh Allen can't afford to, against the Jets team that has playmakers on the defensive side, he can't afford to kind of slip up here. No, even if they win that game, if he has a game like he played against New England, where it really never felt like Josh Allen was the one in control of the game, it felt like New England kept kicking themselves in the foot. If he has another one of those games, then I think it gets really, really interesting. I think Lamar goes as the front runner, but with just Josh Allen having 2 games left, eyes are going to be on Josh Allen because people want to see who the MVP is. I think it's still Josh Allen's to lose, but Lamar Jackson has done nothing to prove that he isn't the MVP. I think it's solely going to come down to these final 2 weeks. If Lamar Jackson goes and puts up a good game against Cleveland and Josh Allen has 2 okay games, I think it's Lamar Jackson's.
Yeah, and if you guys just joined us, new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. The Ryan Ripken Show. We're live every Monday and Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. But for this conversation, right? And look, Josh Allen, phenomenal player. I love what Josh Allen is doing.
Yeah.
And even though, to your point, Zach, and that was on ESPN Bet and Hollywood Casino up there, their odds, it was minus 900 for Josh Allen to win the MVP prior to this game. And now those odds are shifting almost pretty close to even. Lamar's was now plus 150.
Yeah.
So the lines were moving down in favor. But the bigger thing here is Lamar Jackson. I think if you're looking at the body of work from this season, there hasn't been moments of hiccups throughout the whole year. And I love the conversation of the course of a season, not being caught up in 4 to 5 weeks. And Josh Allen's moments where they beat the Chiefs, great game against the Lions, the Rams, they lost that game. He was sensational. Those were great moments. But when you look at Lamar, it wasn't 1 or 2 games for Lamar Jackson. It has been the entire course of the season. And by the way, it's been against some really good teams along the way.